Well, they did it. I didn't expect it to actually happen, but Blizzard managed to get me interested in one of their brawls. Yes, believe it or not, this Halloween brawl is actually fun. Not only is it fun though, I think it really opens our eyes to the possibilities of what they could do with this mode. And I hope if the community shows enough interest, Blizzard really decides to move forward and to do something with it. How's it going, everybody? Force here, and today I want to talk about the idea of getting this permanent new PvE aspect to the game. And if any of you aren't familiar with that term, PvE is a commonly used term in MMOs and other games and refers to player versus environment, or more specifically, adding a PvE element would be adding an element of a group of players fighting against enemies, such as what we see in this brawl. Now, if you hadn't had the chance to play the brawl yet, first of all, I would suggest doing so because it surprised me. I mean, it's why I'm making this video. They really put a lot more love and care into this than I've really felt put into any of the other brawls. And yes, that includes Lucio Ball. Lucio Ball was certainly a very different thing, but I thought it was very, very basic. And although this is still relatively basic, this is a little bit more crafted. And again, it gives me this glimpse of a potential future. So let's not oversell it, all right? The brawl is in a small room and it's basically wave-based survival. You've got waves of enemies coming at you. But there's a few things that they've done here that I want to point out. First of all, there's brand new AI enemy types. So yes, we've got the Zomnics, which are zombie Omnics, which is inherently a funny idea because Omnics are robots, so the idea of a zombie, I don't know, whatever. They're Omnics, they're robots, and there are two types. There's the base type, which is sort of like the horde swarming type that will constantly be rushing towards the gate, and you have to destroy them before they reach it, otherwise they damage it, and if the gate's damaged all the way, you lose. And then there's also the ranged Zomnics, which will lock onto players on your team and fire actually fairly significant amounts of damage in your general direction. So those are the two new types of AI that we saw. One of them you could sort of write off because it's just a pathing enemy type, but at least the other one has like an attack animation. And then they've also added the idea of bosses. Now, while they largely function as the current in-game heroes, there's a boss of Reaper, Junkrat, a Mercy, and Roadhog. While they are fundamentally the same, they can be altered, and they showed a glimpse of that here, like Junkenstein's attack speed. Junkrat normally doesn't attack this persistently, insanely fast. You know, they can alter how these heroes work, which is a really cool idea. We could have bosses representative of the heroes that we play in the game, but have them be stronger, either because they attack faster. Obviously, they all have more health. They could attack faster. They could deal more damage in various things. They could even add more abilities if they wanted to, but that would require more animations or whatever. And one of the other really surprise things that I fell in love with the first time I heard it, and even more so as I continued to hear more, where they added unique voice line interactions between the characters. So you have something like McCree talking to Soldier about basically being a US war hero sort of things, or you would have some of the other heroes speaking with Anna about her alchemy and how she calls herself a scientist, but so does Dr. Junkenstein. Just this really nice flavor, this unique voice acting and interactions between all of these heroes. And then there's also the narrator who calls out the individual steps, the things that are occurring. When a particular hero gets the killing blow on one of the bosses, the narrator will call it out. The gunslinger got the final shot or whatever, things like that. Really just cool, unique things. Add a bit of flavor and charm. And the last thing that this brawl adds is a fun and fairly difficult PvE experience. I enjoyed it. I've never really cared for any of the other brawls. Yes, including Lucio Ball. I know a lot of you loved it because it's very reminiscent of Rocket League, and Rocket League's a great game, but I thought Lucio Ball I thought it was boring. I don't think this is boring. I've been playing predominantly on the hardest difficulty. I did one game on medium difficulty just to see it through without too much sweat, but I've been playing predominantly on the hardest difficulty, and it is hard. Like, it is certainly doable, but it is very, very difficult. And that is just with this basic structural thing. It's a small room. There's only two enemy types besides the bosses. Like, it's fairly bare bones, but boy, oh boy, could they expand upon it. It really makes a great case for Blizzard adding more of this kind of thing in the future. If not this exact thing, I don't know that I want a Halloween themed event in perpetuity, but something like this it's really interesting to me. What I want to wrap up here with saying is, if Blizzard considers doing more of this and really going forward with this concept, whether it's the Horde mode gameplay or just more types of PvE in Overwatch, there's a couple of things I'd like to see. Specifically, let's focus on Horde mode. First of all, if they want to do more Horde mode, I'd love to see larger areas. I think that would be better. This is a really small area, and after doing it for about 5 hours, I think total, it's just... It's very tiny. If they could be different stages, like we defend this area, then we fall back to another area once they break it. They could do all sorts of things, but something bigger than this would be nice if they decide to make this permanent. I'm not bashing on the Brawl. The Brawl is a Brawl. It's not a permanent thing. None of them have been in the past, so it's okay that it's nothing ginormous. But if they make it permanent, I'd love to see bigger areas to defend. I'd also like to see additional type of omnic enemies. Now, I enjoy that they've added 2 new ones to begin with, but I'd like to see more. It'd be cool if we had maybe some melee characters that actually fight, some melee omnics that'll run up to you and start swinging at you, maybe some flying omnics. All of these are certainly possible, and that's about as non-creative as you could get with ideas, but those are just some basic ideas that I thought I'd share. And then lastly, what about the idea of player augmentation? Have buffs that you could get for your characters. You could select things, not necessarily an item shop, but maybe something similar. You could choose to increase your attack speed. You could choose to increase your health and damage. And this would be used obviously for the very difficult portions of the game. As you push further and further, you can enhance your characters, buffing up their powers, making them stronger, and make things crazier as a result. Because you got to balance around the capabilities of the heroes in the game. But if you can have your heroes increase their attack speed or their run speed or their health or their damage, you can get a lot more creative and a lot more insane with the types of situations and enemies that you throw at them. So it adds for more flexibility. I don't know. End of the day, like I said, I am honestly surprised. I'm shocked. I'm astonished, but pleasantly so. I think they did a really great job with this, and I'd like to see them expand upon it. That's the bottom line. Blizzard, well, first of all, community, I would tell you that if you liked this, be vocal about it, because it's that sort of thing that will tell them that this is something people are interested in. Share it with your friends, because if there are people like me out there, because I innately had no interest. I was just interested in the typical competitive play. That's what I like to do. But tell your friends if you enjoyed this and have them play with you, because the more people that engage with this and play it, they've got it all in their back end. They've got the metrics. They see the numbers, how often and how frequently and for how long people are playing. So play it if you like it and be vocal that you enjoy it. And maybe Blizzard will add something like this as a permanent mode in the future. I'm very hopeful. Some PvE, some boss fights, some waves of hordes of enemies. Thumbs up for me. I'd love that. So hopefully, fingers crossed. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you also have a good afternoon. And until next time, I'll see you later.